Hi and welcome back. David Taup here, and I want to go over with you a little bit more guitar terminology, a little bit more terms defined. So when you hear certain guitar terms, you know what they mean, and you're not like, "What did he just say? What is that?" And you'll be able to speak the language of music and the language of guitar when you're communicating to your friends or bandmates or what have you. So we're going to keep it simple and just go over some basic ones here in the beginning stages, okay? Very important, especially when you're looking at music written out. And I'm not talking about reading music, even if you're just reading tabs, which is much easier. And we're going to get into that. We're going to be explaining how to read chord charts, and you're going to know all that. But you're going to see in music a lot something like this, a number sign. The number sign. And what the number sign means in music is that means sharp. Okay, so whenever you see like a C and then a number sign, that means C sharp, which relates to a note on the guitar, C sharp. Or a chord on the guitar, C sharp. Or C sharp minor, which would be C sharp with a little m. So when you see that, you'll know what does that number sign mean? That means sharp. Okay? Where also the little m, which I think we've talked about before, means minor. Whenever you have a chord name or a letter like E with a little m, that means E minor chord. E minor. Which is from our module on the color of chords, minor chords, very dark sounding, right? See, this all ties together. So it's important to go through these modules in order because we're building a foundation and we're planting seeds, and we tie everything together. In a lot of other programs, there's no continuity. They might teach you one thing, teach you next thing, and you're in all these different disjointed directions. See, we tie it all together and then apply it. That's the best way that I have found, that we have found here at Next Level Guitar. So, little m means minor, okay? Number sign means sharp. A small b written out. Small b, when you see that, that means flat, okay? That's the musical notation for flat. So if you see a G, or let's say a B with a big B, capital B with a small b, that means B flat, which refers to a B flat note, or some type of B flat chord. If it says B flat M, it would be B flat minor. Or if you see an E with a small b after it, big E, small b means flat. So that would be some type of E flat chord. If it says E flat 7, that would be an E flat 7th chord. Now I know you don't know all these chords yet, but we're going to get to them. But I just want you to know early on that the small b means flat, the number sign means sharp, the small m means minor. When you hear the term in music interval means the distance between two notes. That distance is an interval, and that's a lot of what music is based on, is these intervals. For instance, when I strike a note, any note on the guitar, I'm just going to hit the open E string. That note is vibrating on the guitar. It vibrates from the bridge, the string vibrates, all the way to the nut. Remember the nut right here. Then we get into our frets. So the string is vibrating from the bridge to the nut. And that vibration produces a pitch. And when our guitars are tuned, we talked about tuning them to A440 or standard tuning. This is tuned to E that our ears pick up, and it's an E. Now if I change the interval or the distance that string is vibrating, I'm going to get a different pitch. Okay? So let's say instead of the string vibrating from the bridge all the way to the nut, I'm going to press down at the 5th fret. Now the string is vibrating from the bridge to my finger. It's only vibrating this far, this interval, as opposed to this interval. So the interval is much shorter, it's going to produce a higher pitch. So if I press down on that string and hit the note, different pitch. That rings, because our guitars are tuned to A440, standard tuning, to an A, because this is an A note at the 5th fret. See, that interval is different, shorter than the open E, which is vibrating this much. So the interval is the distance between notes. And that's very important. We're going to be talking about that a lot soon, okay? A couple other terms you might see on chord charts and paper, which we're going to go over a lot. When you look at a chord on paper and there's an X below one of the strings, and I'm going to show you that, like when we look at our chord diagram, the X means you do not play a certain string. So, for instance, like on our A major chord, we do not play the low E string on that chord. That, or A minor chord, like an A minor chord, that's one of the first few chords we're going to learn or have learned. You're not playing the low E string. So written out on a chart, on a chord chart in tablature, it would have an X below the low E string. That X means you do not play that string. And I'm in fact muting it, which I'm going to teach you how to do. Muting it with my thumb. But I'm not playing the low E, I'm playing just these other 5 strings. The 0 or O beneath or on top of the string when you're looking at the chord chart, that means that string gets played open, meaning you're not fretting a note at that particular string. That A minor chord again would have an O above or below the A string, because that string I'm not fretting, that's open, and also the high E string. See, those strings are played open, hence the O for open, right? See, those are open strings, so that's what that means when you see that, okay? One other term that you might come across pretty early on is the term octave, okay? Octave, what an octave is it's a same pitch 12 notes above or below a given pitch, and we'll get into what these 12 notes are and all that. I want to train your ear, and it's very easy to hear an octave because it's the same pitch, it's just either higher or lower than a given pitch. For instance, I'm going to play this G note here on the low E string, 3rd fret. Now if I go down to the D string on the 3rd fret, G string on the 5th fret, I have a G note again, but this is 12 notes higher. It's the next octave in G. Listen to the low G. Now listen to this other G. Same note, right? Here's the low one. Go up 12 notes. Boom, you have another G. Low G, 12 notes, high G. So here it is. Right? Let's go to an A. Do the same thing. Here's an A. High. Right? You see that? That's an octave. I'm going to the higher one in this instance. Same note, 12 notes above. Or it could be 24 notes above. It could be 2 octaves. And you get 2 octaves. For instance, here's my low E. Okay, now if I press down 2nd fret on the D string, there's an E note again, 1 octave higher than the low one. Now, let's say I want to go another octave, 12 notes higher from that, you get the high E string. Okay, that's 3 octaves right there. Check it out. All the same note, all E. Here's the lowest one. Here's 12 notes up from that, E. Now here's another 12 from that. 3 octaves. So this E and the high E, 2 octaves apart. Same pitch, just up or down 12. That's what an octave is. People have written songs with licks based on octaves in the song, like see those 2 notes? Octave. That's a Bush song called Machine Head, with an octave lick in it. Or like, I can remember the lick. That's a lick in a Foo Fighters song where he's playing this octave run. That's in a Foo Fighters song called Everlong. But these octaves are important because you can use them in your songs, and we're going to be using them in music theory and using them in our licks and whatnot, and it's going to really be cool. So I want you to know, in case you hear me or anyone say the term octave, what that means, okay? So listen to this module again. Maybe even take some notes as far as make your own little glossary of terms to find as you build up your musical knowledge, and you'll be able to speak the language of music and guitar. Alright, so, and we'll be having more of these type modules where we'll be explaining more terminology, and so as you get better and more proficient and you're going to detailed concepts and more difficult technique things and challenges and lead playing, if you want to go there, or more complex rhythms, and we talk about all that, you'll be able to understand what all that means. All right, so we'll see you in the next module, and practice the right things according to our structured routine. All right, take care.